Now, I'd like to follow up with you a bit. As I introduced you, you are the chief editor of Waterworld, if you just joined us. Let's explore. We talked with Paul O'Gallaghan about disruptive technology. Obviously,
Yes.
that's very adjacent to some of the big trends.
Very
But
much.
If we ask you, what would you say are the largest trends in specifically in the wastewater domain?
Well, I think there are quite a few, and I think we were very fortunate with the guests that we had today. We touched on most of the ones that I would mention. Nutrient recovery, which really actually is part of a larger trend, which is resource recovery from wastewater. There are all sorts of resources now that we're finding we can get from wastewater. Of course, nutrients, like we talked about with Paul, but also biogas, energy, right? We're able to actually, some plants are energy neutral now, in large part because of their biogas production, or they're sending their biogas elsewhere. They're even converting biogas into liquid fuel. So there's all kinds of opportunities there.
Well, and stay tuned, because in a minute we're going to walk around here in the Innovation Lab, and I already did some peeking. There's quite some technologies into that. My question though is, we already heard Paul make the comment like, if you're into the resource business, you're not going to get it from wastewater, but it's kind of a buy effect.
Yeah.
How scalable are these kind of initiatives?
Well, he mentioned Chicago, right? So the facility in Chicago is a major wastewater facility, and they are, turning to nutrient recovery to get rid of the nitrogen and phosphorus that they have in their system, which is eventually, it's coming down the Mississippi River, and there are issues in the Gulf, and they're trying to do their part. So if a plant that size can do it, then certainly...
Then it has kind of proven itself to the market, right?
It would seem
there's
so.
No holding back.
Yeah.
So that's the one big thing, nutrient recovery, and obviously we apparently see the market also adopting that.
Yes, yeah, we're seeing more and more. Paul mentioned Astara is one in the U.S. and North America that's been very active. And you see municipalities, Milwaukee, for example, they have a fertilizer now that they distribute, that they sell.
Exactly.
So they get this sort of side stream revenue business going on. So.
Yeah. And what else? If we move further down the road, what is really coming at us?
Well, I think when we talk about this wastewater as a resource, one of the biggest things that we're going to see is simply wastewater reuse, and we're going to see that more and more on the potable side, reusing wastewater for potable water. I think that concept has gotten a little bit of a black eye. It sort of has what people term an ick factor, because people get a little bit squeamish about drinking wastewater.
I was immediately saying that, and don't you have to invest enormous amounts of energy or process capacity to actually clean it back?
Well,
so it is potable.
There are processes that you can adopt. I mean, I'll give you one example with a fantastic program is Orange County in California. There's a collaboration between the Orange County Water District and Orange County Sanitation District, where the water district gets their treated wastewater from the wastewater plant and then recharges their groundwater with it. Now, when it comes from that wastewater plant, Gerrit, it is almost distilled quality. It is so clean. They have done everything to this
already.
To
recover the nutrients, to clean it out.
They have thrown microfiltration at it. They've thrown UV at it. They've thrown peroxide at it. I mean, it's super, super clean.
And
it goes
still
back
we're putting it in
the
groundwater,
so. And then that groundwater is taken out and cleaned again.
Okay.
And they've expanded. They're doing 100 million gallons a day.
So is this then more about a marketing task that this industry has to do to actually get that yuck factor
It has a PR problem. And unfortunately, it's persisting, although I think it's making some progress. I mean, from what I'm hearing and what I'm reading and seeing out there, more and more communities are sort of breaking through that barrier. There are actually 2 communities in Texas, Wichita Falls and Big Spring, that have gone straight potable. They're not even recharging into the groundwater. They're going straight potable, driven by drought. They have
exactly.
to. The water's not there for them.
And if we talk about trends, that is definitely something we're expecting, right? More people, less water.
Absolutely. So we're going to have to get creative, and we're going to have to get over the ick factor.
Yeah, and you say, well, the need and the demand will just get rid of that.
At some point, it will, absolutely.
All right. A third major trend that our viewers should get themselves ready for?
Well, I think if we're going to put our glasses on and try to look into the future. When we talk about
the glass ball,
talk about resource recovery, one of the interesting things I'm hearing, and again, it's speculation, but we're already taking nitrogen out of the wastewater, we're taking phosphorus out of the wastewater, ammonia. But what about precious metals or semi-precious metals. I mean, zirconium, for example, platinum. You know, these constituents are in our wastewater. Maybe someday.
In general,
years,
in our
20 years.
wastewater, or specific sources of wastewater?
Well, I would imagine there's probably going to be a greater concentration in different types of wastewater, industrial or whatever. But there are, I guess, what it boils down to is there are things in our wastewater that we haven't even thought yet to take out that could be very interesting, very valuable things going forward. But again, crystal ball.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
we'll see where that goes.
exactly. And where do we have to turn? Obviously, you have to turn to Aquatech TV, like you're doing right now, to get the latest and the greatest. But we're only here for 1.5 hours left, I guess. Beyond this, you should come to Aquatech, of course, but that's over at the end of the week. Mm-hmm. What are your sources of inspiration? Where do you get the latest and the greatest on these developments?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, this is, water and wastewater have become such huge topics. There's really no shortage of sources to go to for really interesting and credible information. There are associations, of course, in the US and abroad. I mean, we at our magazine, we turn to several associations. We have a Drinking Water Association, the AWWA. We have a Wastewater Association, Water Environment Federation. You know, there are groundwater associations, there are rural water associations,
exactly.
and these are real, real leaders with their boots on the ground.
So your mission is make sure you stay connected with the industry locally
Absolutely.
and internationally.
And then we try to share that information with our readers so that they can stay up to date.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's check in with Marcel. He's our social media moderator today. At the beginning of the show, we put out a question to our viewers, what they thought was the most potential for disruptive technology. Could you just shout out to us, what is the winner in our viewers' perspective? Don't forget to use your mic. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Well, you have actually a tie. We have the ceramic membranes and the reality modeling 3D software.
All right.
Are the two winners in that respect.
Just to wrap up in the last 2 minutes, Angela, why would we expect ceramic membranes to be this big disruptor in this industry?
Well, ceramic membranes are very interesting. They offer something that traditional membranes have struggled with, and that is a resistance to biofouling. So traditional membranes, they get dirty, and they're expensive to clean.
Yep.
You need chemicals to clean them. Ceramics offer the promise of not having to do that or having to do it a lot less. So I think that's one of their big attractive
advantages.
draws.
And why is this a future disruptor? Are they not in the market yet?
Well, they're certainly making their way through. They've been adopted to some extent in niche industrial uses. We've seen some usage on the drinking water side. But I think what it comes down to is there's a little bit of a higher CapEx, capital expenditure. They're expensive.
Yeah.
They cost
Fair
a lot.
Point. Yeah.
So I think once the market can see that CapEx come down, then there'll be a little more increased interest in adoption. So I think that's what we're going to have to watch for.
All right.
Yeah.
And the other technology mentioned by our viewers, the 3D modeling, and
where
is that applicable?
Well, where I've heard 3D modeling used most is in water resource modeling, right? So you're actually creating a model of your distribution system so that you understand.
That's more looking forward to our next show that we're going to have here at 4.